I wanted to continue on from where we were the last 2 days, talking about guns in America. And I want to make very clear that I personally do not approve of spiritual leaders who tell their followers how to vote and what to think. So in doing these series, I am just trying to present I told you the statistics, I told you the stories, so trying to give some information so that people can think about this by applying Dharma principles. Because in my mind, we have to use our spiritual we have to apply our spiritual practice to everything in our lives, whether it's social issues or political issues or health issues or family issues. No matter what it is, I think we should really bring the Dharma perspective to that. Okay, and so since this discussion has a lot to do with the first precept, to not harm others physically and avoid taking life, and especially to, the injunction to protect life because life is precious, and also because love and compassion are such fundamental principles in the Buddha Dharma, I think we need to look at these kinds of issues by applying those principles. So today what I wanted to read was, Ken was here yesterday to do the mantra rolling, and he's a physician, and he wrote a letter to the Spokesman Review. And after he heard the first BBC that I gave a couple of days ago on this topic, he sent his letter to me. He had written it earlier in the month before I even talked about this. So he said, "Dear editor, freedom isn't free. You hear this saying a lot nowadays. Gun advocates are always reminding us of their Second Amendment rights. This amendment was enacted in 1791 when the weapon of choice was a single-shot musket." Okay, isn't there something about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in our Declaration of Independence? Shouldn't my family have a reasonable expectation of coming home alive from our house of worship, from a mall, from a movie theater, an elementary school, a high school, and a college? I am sorry, but right now I do not feel very free. Where does one person's rights end and my rights begin? And I feel very, very much the same along this line, that we all have a right to feel safe. Yeah, and I don't think they put that in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence because it was an assumption, And so I think that's something that's assumed, that it has to go with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, so that you feel safe. And so we need to create a society where people feel safe. And I personally don't feel safe with guns around. Personally speaking, totally gives me the creeps. He said that he goes on and he says that he has a handgun at his home, and although he's not a hunter, he doesn't have anything against hunting. And then he says, over the last 30 years, there have been 62 mass shootings in the United States. Most of these tragedies were from semi-automatic or assault weapons with high-capacity clips. 8 children are killed every day in our country due to gun violence. More people died from gun violence in the last 2 years than died during the entire Vietnam War. I read that somewhere too. It's incredible. It is time for common sense, reason, and a large dose of love and compassion for our fellow human beings. Gun violence in our country is a national tragedy, and just think of how we appear to the rest of the world. So here I want to pause and recall what Donnie told us some time ago. She's from Germany, and when she first came here, she said that she was, because of everything she had heard about the US and the prominence of guns and everything, that she was afraid to stand outside of a grocery store waiting for somebody else from the Abbey who was doing errands to come pick her up. You know? And to me, I just think, my goodness, if, you know, people from other countries are terrified of being here, because this is really the image that we give, you know? And then Ken concludes, this is not only a moral and ethical issue, but as a physician, it is also a public health issue. And I think that's very, very true. And that rather than frame this as a thing of gun rights, we have to frame it as a public health issue. Because too many people are dying. You know, what I was saying yesterday about people under 50 having such an incredibly high rate of death in the US, especially from gun violence. I mean, it's a public health issue. And we need to address it and take care of it. I also saw, this is an add-on, I don't know which website it was on, but some children had put together like a little clip about gun violence, with each child kind of saying something, and them saying, you know, not in my playground, not in my, you know, in my football field, not in my home, you know, not in where I meet my friends, you know. So the kids really, you know, and especially not in my school. Yeah, so the kids themselves kind of saying that they want to feel safe. It was quite a touching little video they made.